Some in Congress are talking about scrapping No Child Left Behind in its current form. Do you favor that?
Actually, I don't. I feel that the basic principles that drove the No Child Left Behind legislation were very good principles. In that, I think school systems and schools need to be held accountable for improvement of student performance on an annual basis. I think that accountability was long overdue. I also think that schools and school systems need to be accountable for all the children in the schools. That includes the special education students, the English language learners, the economically deprived students. We ought to make sure that they too are learning and learning to high standards. Now, having said that, clearly there are parts of the implementation of the law that I have issue with. I believe we should use, for example, a growth model to measure progress. That is, for those of your listeners who are not educators, rather than looking at the average attainment of a school, we ought to be looking at how students show progress over a year. Individual students ought to be showing growth depending on where they started, where they need to go. We should predict, and we should be able to see that they're making good progress getting to where they are. And again, we also believe that there were not enough resources to implement some of the pieces of what I would call the enrichment activities to get students where they need to be. Some students need to be in school for longer days. Some students need to be in school even in Saturday academies so that we can get them where they need to be. You can't just say, get them there and there is no other intervention. It's not going to happen. I also think that we ought to look at how we measure the success of special education students and English language learners to make sure that we're being realistic and not asking teachers and schools to do what they really, based on research and based on our knowledge of how the students learn, is impossible to do. But again, I will end by saying I think the accountability component of No Child Left Behind was absolutely necessary, and I think holding us accountable for all subgroups within the school system is very important.